In 1832, the first rubber sole was created by Waite Webster, which became the forerunner to the sneakers of today. Today, custom leather shoes are still made in a familiar fashion to the old-style shoes, allowing the shoemaker to pay close attention to detail, fit, style, and quality. Shoes. Foot protection and comfort have always been of great importance to humans since Adam and Eve left the garden. The designs and functions of shoes have changed greatly through time and from culture to culture, focusing on the needs of the people. Many materials have been used to make shoes, such as leather, wood, or canvas, and some are now made of rubber and plastics. Evidence tells us that the use of shoes began between 40,000 and 26,000 years ago, and leather shoes have been found that date back to 5,500 BC. The first leather shoes were more bags than shoes that focused on protecting the feet from cold and rocks. Since the 18th century, shoemakers or cobblers made shoes one at a time by hand. A last was used, made of wood or iron, on which to form the shoe. Other tools used include pliers, pincers, needles and thread, hammer and nails to attach the heel. Leather is a fine choice for quality footwear. It is comfortable and also allows the air to circulate around the foot. The shoe construction makes each shoe feel light as a feather and gives the foot the comfort you want in a shoe. The designer of the shoe starts by drawing a template onto a piece of plastic that is easily manipulated. They then take that template and put it onto a last or a plastic foot in order to see how the design will look on an actual foot. As you may know, no two animals are the same, which means that the designer has to be careful when choosing the animal leather he is going to use. He has to make sure that the colors match well, as well as the texture and thickness. Since leather is a thick material, they then use a machine to trim off part of the edge to make it thinner so when it comes time to sew it, it is easier to do so. If the design calls for it, the operator uses a manual press to punch holes in the leather as a decoration. The operator has to be very careful to keep the design the same on both shoes and also to keep the distance the same from hole to hole. The upper or the top of the shoe is then sewn together. In order to get the stitching flat, the operator takes a hammer and hammers the seams flat. To hide the unfinished edge of the leather, another strip of leather is taken and glued to it. This strip has a second purpose. It gives the shoe trimming. The lining is next to go in. It is made of goat leather and flax. It fits snug on the last and allows for a more comfortable insole to be put in the shoe. The lining is then placed into the upper part of the shoe and is placed onto the last. The insole is then glued onto the shoe. The type shown has two parts, the black, which is rigid, and the white, which has more flexibility to it. After the insole is on, the lining is glued to the upper. They then put the point or the front of the shoe onto a machine. The machine grabs the leather and pulls it out straight. The next step is to place the shoe onto another machine that wraps the edges underneath and attaches them with glue and makes the shoe look even and symmetrical. The leather is then heated so it is more pliable and hammered again so it is the proper shape of the last. The hammering serves two purposes. It also gets rid of any wrinkles the leather may still contain. The glue is applied to the underside, then is placed carefully on top of the sole, which will take around 10 minutes until it is set. The sole is then put through what is called a splitting machine, which separates a small layer, which is later attached to the upper of the shoe. Twine and a strong glue are used to sew the upper and the sole together to make sure they cannot be separated. They hide the stitching using glue and then grind the edges down. The sole is then polished to give it a finished look. A specialist mixes his own polish for each shoe to help maintain the natural color of the shoe. Of over 20 operations, this is the last that goes into creating the leather shoe. The time required to produce a shoe has greatly decreased due to the advances in technology. Some of these advances include the use of machines to eliminate time, as well as the advance in leather processing, making more types of leather with different qualities available to the shoemaker.